When Outkast uttered those words, the South got something to say. I know many of you out there that attend the HBCUs right now were not around when those words was echoed by Outkast at the Source Awards. But I do understand a lot of you have begun to understand that you got to take a stand for what's right. And looking at some of these elected officials that have been put into office, they find their way to, want to keep us away from issues that really sheds a brighter light on things that lets everybody know the fix has always been in and it's time for a change. And you know what? In this instance, I got to say, I'm so proud of this group for taking a stand. They deserve to see some type of justice come about for the issue that we're going to talk about right after this. You know, it's your favorite coach back at it again. 10 toes down, about to tell you how it all went down. This is Morrill Sports Network with your host, Coach Walker. If you're new to the channel, please like, share, subscribe. Hit that notification bell so you can get all upcoming videos. For all my leaders out there, welcome back. Y'all know the drill. Y'all know the routine. If you haven't done so already, please like, comment, and share these videos. And tap the interference to tell them to come on in. It's nothing but positive vibes. We're just having a good time talking about HBCU sports. And don't forget, you can follow us on all social media platforms. The links are listed down below in the description. So without further ado, we're going to go ahead and jump on in this thing. Because I'm like, Coach, wait a minute. You talking about elected officials? What? Wait. Whoa. Listen, guys. One thing I want everybody to understand is this. When I talk about sports, I'm talking about sports as well as other issues that affect us as far as an HBCU culture, family, and things that goes on within these campuses that are not right, and they need to be looked upon to see exactly how we can come up with some type of solution to continue to keep moving us forward. I know a lot of times we get out here, we get to, we put out stuff just, satire, I want to get your attention. I want you to click on this thing and see what's happening. Well, guys, guess what? This is something that could very well be affecting your HBCU. And I just want you to see and understand, hey, listen, we got to be mindful and pay attention to everything that's going on around us, because we always complaining about money. If it ain't ticket sales, it's TV contracts, God knows whatever else it is out there that we complain about. But guess what? When you have an opportunity to step up and step up and take an opportunity to find a way to fix it, you got to go ahead and stand. You got to stand in that gap. And I know sometimes we get a little hesitant. Well, we don't want to stand in that gap because we don't want that heat. We don't want that smoke. But guess what? We already in it. We're in it because we're at an HBCU. And these are some of the things that we're being taught. And I want you to understand, one thing I got to give these young folks credit for is that when I look at what's going on right now in the state of Florida with the elected officials down there who don't want CRT, they have this word woke, where woke is like the new catchphrase for whatever they want to use that word woke for. They're going to put that word out there for it to fit the narrative, in which it doesn't fit the narrative. It's just a load of boo-boo just to try to get everybody thrown off on the cause at hand. What exactly is that we're looking at that we need to get fixed? And I gotta be honest with you. When I thought about when I looked at this topic that we're gonna get into with FAMU down there, as far as with them suing the state of Florida, it took me back to the main horse that's really centered in all of this, in which that is their Governor DeSantis. In which I don't know, some folks may know that this man was a teacher in Rome, Georgia, at this highly proud school. There's it's almost like a boarding school where you can go live on campus and do all of these things. Well, he was a history teacher there. And him being a history teacher there, he always believed in teaching history according to his thoughts and beliefs. And if he got challenged on anything that had, anything that it had to do with history that these young folks thought he was wrong about, he always found a way to try to flip the narrative, or he'd go ahead and turn the heat up on them and make them feel some kind of way. When I read that, I believe it was last year, the Rattler, I'm calling them the Rattler 6. 6 students from FAMU decided that they want to take this issue that they had as far as the underfunding by the state of Florida to litigation. I said, wait a minute. I said, you got to applaud them folks. You know why? Because how many of you out there at these HBCUs have really checked in to find out if you are a land grant school that you've been underfunded? And I know you're like, Coach, wait a minute, underfunded? Wait, we all get, same amount of money. No, you got to understand, there's things that's been going on there's been things that's been happening that none of us have really paid close attention to. And I'm going to share a couple of them with you right now. Over the past 33 years, and this was in Forbes magazine, it was stated from 1987 to 2022 that per student for FAMU, because FAMU is a land grant school. They were underfunded by $2,600, which equates to $1.3 billion that FAMU is owed. Now, I know you're like, wait a minute, coach, 1.3 billion. Yes. Remember, guys, everybody holler and scream about how we're not, doing certain things to make sure our campus is in place. This is why a lot of these institutions that should have been funded properly were not. FAMU is a land grant school. Yes, the litigation is about how the University of Florida was being funded more money. Well, guess what, guys? Florida became a land grant school, I think like in 1906, 1905, something like that. There was 19 HBCUs around the country, more so in the South, that was a part of the Morrill Act. Two different Morrill Acts that was generated. And the first one in 1862 was created where states established public colleges by the sales of associated federal land grants. Now, the thing that was not told to everybody about how the land was being granted to these institutions was the fact that the land was being taken away from Native American tribes. This was supposed to be support for the public schools. Now, unfortunately, kind of like today, remember I mentioned something before about elected officials messing up the money. Back then, they was messing up money by the truckloads. And what I mean by that is that the money from the lands that they seized from these different tribes was supposed to be sold. They supposed to be sold off so that, they can get that money, put that money back into different programs. Well, they weren't doing that. They was pocketing that money. And they was doing God knows whatever else with that money just to, continue to make things go round and round for themselves. And, in some cases here and there was some land that was sold as far as the money was being, the money was being generated the way it's supposed to in some instances, but not in all. But I'll say this. In 1890, there was a second Morrills Act that was generated in which 19 HBCUs was granted land. Go ahead and start building on those parcels of lands that it was given to create the HBCUs that are known today. Here's a list of the 19 institutions for you to see if your HBCU is in that list. I'm going to tell you this, Tennessee State is in that list, FAMU is in that list, and there's a couple other in that list as well. So all I'm trying to get everybody to see is understand this. Open your eyes for you to see exactly what's going on here, because these are the things that a lot of our elected officials don't want us to see. Like right now, down in the state of Florida, you have a governor down there who is, I'm going to say allegedly, because I know it's going to be some folks' draws going to get a little tight with me saying what I'm getting ready to say, but I really don't care because of the fact that, one, it's documented. Two, it's time for this stuff to stop going in the manner in which it's going, and understand that we're all people. And like I said, we all deserve an opportunity to get out here and be educated accordingly, not have particular topics stripped away that shouldn't be taught because you don't want your kids to feel some type of way based on how the people that came before you or your forefathers were out here doing business towards those that did not look like them. I'm sorry, but it is what it is. And at the end of the day, when you look at how Tennessee State had to go fight, scratch a claw to get the money that they so duly deserve. And I don't even believe they got all of the funding back that they should have got as far as how far back it goes with them not being funded. I think they were like almost close to $500 million themselves, if not $1 billion that was owed to them by the state of Tennessee. So that lets you know right there that these states have been underfunding these HBCUs for far too long, and they're not looking to give that money to the HBCU programs because they don't want to allow those HBCUs to grow in the manner in which they're growing to prevent people from going to those other schools that they can go ahead, that they can get some type of kickback or some type of they could keep some type of control as far as making sure that, people within move the way that they want them to move. I mean, guys, let's be real here. We fully understand that when it comes down to politics, it's chess, not checkers. I mean, you got to be honest with this thing. But when you look at how these students had to take it upon themselves to really dig in and get an understanding of exactly what was going on here. I'm sure many of you out there may not have known that Florida was not the University of Florida when it was first created. It moved into that once they understood how the land grants was going on and the different programs that they had within the state of Florida allowed them to move into that for them to get the finances that they needed for them to continue to keep running in the manner in which they're running right now today. However, You have FAMU, a land grant institution, that have not been receiving the finances that they're due. How's that possible? Explain that. I mean, again, I'm just saying let's keep an open mind here as far as what's going on. When I stated to you that FAMU is one of 19 institutions that was given a land grant. Like I said, those land grants was generated to provide educational opportunities to those who originally wasn't provided the opportunity to get educated due to discrimination in the South, especially, like I said, especially in the South. In the 160 plus years, HBCUs and land grants have been underfunded. I mean, I'm just being honest with you. Go back and check all of the different states. I'm gonna put the list up again. Here's the list for you to see all of the different schools with around this country that's in that 19, in that original 19 that did not receive the finances. As a matter of fact, I'm gonna go ahead and put another clip up here for you to see all of the different grants, the different acts that went on during that time, as far as how a lot of these institutions that are known today were able to move in the manner in which they were able to move for them to get properly aligned, for them to get the finances generated. Salute that FAMU Rattler 6 students that decided they want to take this issue to litigation. I applaud them for that, because at some point in time, you got to take a stand. And if you're not willing to take a stand, we all gonna keep falling for everything. And there's no need in doing that. I mean, when we look at how things are going at the rate that they're going, I mean, let's take another instance. North Carolina A&T, they got a penalty because they had too many students that came to the university because they, that was allowed to go to the university because they was out of state. They was out of state students, in which there's a percentage on that. I don't quite understand how is that? Why is that an issue? If these institutions have something to offer, allow them to offer it, and quit trying to put a cap on why or how many can come based on what you feel, should be there. Again, it goes back to something I said before. We have to do a little bit more. We have to get a little bit more understanding of those that we're putting in office to represent us. It's no longer about the people. It's all about business now. And a lot of the business that's going on don't include us. So guys, I got to salute those 6 students for taking that initiative to get this issue, pushed it to the courts for them to take a look at it. And I'm glad that the judge sat down and understood exactly what was going on, and now is allowing this to move a little further as far as getting an understanding of exactly what's going on. Because again, if we don't go dig in these books and find out what's going on, our history, our culture is everything. That's the biggest reason why I'm talking about this now, because I want people to understand our history, our culture means a lot, especially in this HBCU sector. It's just not about, hey, we're going to the football game, we're having a good time. Hey, we out here going to the basketball game. Hey, we on TV, we doing, no. The bottom line is, at the end of the day, our institutions were supposed to have been funded in the manner in which they were supposed, in the manner in which it was governed to be funded. But guess what? Somewhere along the line, somebody decided they wanted to deviate that money somewhere else. And that's not how the game's supposed to be played. So let's get this thing back on an even playing field so everybody can continue to keep growing together. With us growing together, that means people have choice. They can choose to go there. They can choose to go wherever it is they wish to go. If they choose to go to HBCU over another predominantly PWI institution, then that's fine. Understand that. But if by chance they want to go to the PWI, don't want to go to HBCU, that's fine. But let's make sure that these institutions are being funded in a manner in which they're supposed to, and not earmarking money to go elsewhere. Again, salute to the FAMU 6 students that took a stand for the institution and stood up for the HBCU to let the world know that they have been underfunded. And salute to Forbes magazine for putting that article out there for everybody to see exactly what was going on, giving a breakdown of the amount of money that has been kept away from that university for so long. But guys, Coach gonna go ahead and get up on out this thing. But until next time, be the one and lead.